Have you ever been in a situation where someone just couldn't mind their own business, but they somehow found a way to ruin your good time? Well, that happened to me, and I wasn't going to let it slide. It all started with something as simple as a weekend barbecue. You know, the kind of day where you fire up the grill, have some friends over, and just enjoy life. But in my case, things didn't go according to plan. Margaret, my next-door neighbor and self-proclaimed HOA enforcer, had a problem with my barbecue. A big problem. Now, you might be wondering, how could anyone have a problem with a harmless backyard barbecue? Well, when your neighbor is an HOA Karen who's been waiting for an opportunity to flex her HOA muscles, nothing is ever simple. What started as a typical Saturday afternoon soon escalated into an all-out showdown with Margaret. But here's the crazy part. Instead of backing down, I turned my entire backyard into a grill paradise so epic that she wouldn't know what hit her. Let me take you back to that fateful Saturday. I had just moved into this charming suburban home with a decent-sized backyard. Everything was perfect. It was a quiet neighborhood, not too far from the city, but just far enough to give me the peace I was looking for. My backyard had plenty of space, and the previous owners had left a grill station that I immediately took a liking to. It wasn't anything too fancy, just a standard grill and a small table, but it was perfect for what I needed. That particular Saturday, I decided to do what anyone would do on a nice weekend. Fire up the grill, throw some burgers and steaks on, and invite a few friends over for a casual barbecue. The smell of sizzling meat filled the air, and I had a cold drink in my hand. The sun was shining, and everything seemed perfect, until Margaret showed up. I didn't know much about her at first. She was just another neighbor. But soon enough, I learned that she was the type of person who had a problem with everything. Everything. Her lawn wasn't just mowed. It was borderline manicured like a golf course. Her house was pristine, almost to the point where it was intimidating. And let me tell you, the moment she found out I was grilling, she went straight to work. It wasn't long before I heard a knock on my door. I opened it, expecting to see one of my guests needing something. But instead, there was Margaret, standing in her usual stance, arms crossed, face stern, and clipboard in hand. I had seen her walking around the neighborhood with that clipboard before, but I never imagined it would be used on me. "Hey, my name. I need to talk to you about your barbecue," she said, her voice as cold as a winter morning. I smiled awkwardly. "Sure, what's up?" She didn't return the smile. "It's against the HOA rules to have a barbecue this close to your house. The smoke is bothering the neighbors, and frankly, the smell is too strong." I blinked. Too strong? It was a barbecue. That's what BBQ smelled like. It was the classic smell of summer. Sizzling meat, a hint of charcoal, and grilled vegetables. To say I was confused would be an understatement. "Look, Margaret, I'm just cooking some burgers. It's a Saturday afternoon. Everyone's enjoying it," I said, trying to remain calm. "That's not the point," she snapped. "The HOA clearly states that you're not allowed to disturb the peace like this. I've already had a couple of neighbors complain. I'm going to need you to shut this down immediately, or I'll report you to the HOA." My patience was starting to wear thin. I had lived here for a few months and had never had an issue with anyone in the neighborhood. And now Margaret, the self-appointed HOA sheriff, was telling me I couldn't have a barbecue on my own property? It was outrageous. "No, I'm not shutting this down. It's my backyard, and I'm not breaking any rules," I said firmly. "Besides, the neighbors are all enjoying it, and if anyone has a problem with the smell, they can stay inside." Margaret didn't like that answer. "You're going to regret this," she muttered under her breath before storming off, clipboard still in hand. At that moment, something inside me snapped. I wasn't going to let her control how I lived on my own property. If she wanted to take things to the next level, I'd meet her there. But I wasn't just going to keep my barbecue. I was going to outdo her and turn my backyard into something she'd never be able to complain about again. That's when I came up with the idea. A grill paradise, a backyard so epic, so over the top, that Margaret wouldn't know how to react. I wasn't just going to have a barbecue anymore. I was going to create an outdoor grilling experience that would put any restaurant or backyard cookout to shame. A place where people could come, relax, and enjoy the art of grilling without fear of judgment from an HOA Karen. I started planning immediately. I wasn't just going to throw a few extra grills down. This was going to be a full-on, multi-level grilling experience. First, I invested in a state-of-the-art smoker, one that could cook multiple meats at once. Then, I ordered a griddle to cook burgers and hot dogs in style. I added an outdoor pizza oven for fun and a charcoal fire pit for those cool evenings. I wasn't stopping there. I decided to build an outdoor bar to go along with it. A fully stocked station with a sink, a fridge, and plenty of space for mixing drinks. This was going to be a place of pure relaxation, where friends and family could gather and enjoy good food and company. I also made sure to add seating areas, wooden tables, comfortable chairs, and an outdoor couch for those who wanted to take a break from the action. But here's the best part. I incorporated the trees. Margaret wanted me to cut them down? Fine. I'd incorporate them into the new design. I wrapped them with fairy lights to give the whole space a cozy, magical vibe at night. The trees weren't just part of the background anymore. They were the centerpiece of my backyard paradise. As the project took shape, I felt a growing sense of satisfaction. Not only was I making my backyard a place to relax and entertain, but I was also doing it in defiance of someone who thought they could control how I lived my life. Margaret had no idea what was coming. The days passed, and my vision for the grill paradise began to take shape. As the foundation of the space was set up, I could already picture how amazing it would be. The smoker was installed on a corner of the backyard, strategically placed, so the smoke wouldn't bother anyone else, but would still give the BBQs that smoky, authentic taste. The griddle was mounted, and the pizza oven was put in place, which was my favorite feature. It was big enough to cook multiple pizzas at once, perfect for gatherings. The outdoor bar was starting to take form, and it was starting to feel like something straight out of a luxury resort. I also set up a beautiful outdoor dining area with string lights hanging between the trees. The seating was comfortable and inviting, and I even added an outdoor fire pit where people could gather around when the night got chilly. I was creating a space that was not only about grilling, but about creating a whole experience, a place to escape and unwind. One of the best parts was when the entire project started to take shape. The whole backyard looked like something out of a magazine. The trees, wrapped in soft lights, added a magical atmosphere, while the sounds of sizzling meat and the laughter of friends and family began to fill the air. It became my new happy place, and I couldn't wait to host my first event. But there was still one thing I had to do. Make sure Margaret saw this. She had been quiet for the last couple of days, but I knew it was only a matter of time before she would show up to try and ruin my fun again. The moment had come when I decided it was time to let her witness what I had created. I sent out invitations for a grand barbecue launch party. I wasn't going to just casually invite people. I was going to make it an event. I wanted everyone to see the space in all its glory. I included Margaret in the invite, knowing she'd likely show up just to complain. But instead of being upset, I knew this was the perfect chance to show her just how ridiculous her complaint had been in the first place. The day of the barbecue came, and the entire neighborhood seemed to be buzzing with excitement. People walked by and peeked over the fence, stopping to admire the space. The aroma of grilling burgers, sausages, and steaks filled the air, and I saw people nodding in approval. My backyard had transformed into a gathering spot, and the best part was that I was in control. As the party was in full swing, I spotted Margaret walking down the street. She had that look again, the one that said she was about to make her way over to ruin my evening. But this time, instead of feeling angry, I was excited to see her reaction. Margaret didn't know what she was walking into. She came right up to the backyard gate and looked through. Her eyes widened as she took in the scene. Grill smoking, the fire pit crackling, people laughing, and the general vibe of the backyard feeling like an upscale resort. For a moment, I thought she might faint. I walked up to her with a drink in my hand, a grin spreading across my face. "Hey, Margaret, glad you could make it." She looked at me, visibly stunned. This is ridiculous. You can't just turn your backyard into a restaurant. The HOA will have something to say about this." I shook my head, the grin still on my face. "You're right, Margaret. It's not just a barbecue. It's a grill paradise. Welcome to the ultimate backyard experience." Her face twisted into a mix of disbelief and frustration. "This is too much. You can't have people over all the time like this. This is a violation of HOA rules. I'll report you." I raised an eyebrow. "Go ahead, Margaret. But as far as I can see, I'm not violating any rules. This is just a backyard, and these grills? Well, they're part of my vision of living in a home I enjoy. The HOA can't take that away from me." I turned to walk back into the party, but she was still standing there, mouth agape. She knew there was nothing she could do. She had lost. She had expected me to back down, to remove the grill or turn the barbecue off. Instead, I had turned the situation around completely, creating something so impressive that even she couldn't ignore it. As the evening went on, the neighborhood seemed to rally around me. More neighbors came by, people laughed, and we all sat around the fire pit, sharing stories. My backyard was no longer just a place for a barbecue. It was a destination. It was my space, a place I had turned into a sanctuary, and no one, especially not Margaret, was going to take that away from me. The next day, I didn't hear anything from Margaret. No complaints, no HOA reports, no threats. It was like she had disappeared into the background. I knew I had won. Not just the barbecue battle, but the war of standing up for what was mine. It wasn't about the grill or the food. It was about defying the rules, creating something meaningful, and making sure I could enjoy my life without anyone telling me what to do. In the end, I realized something important. You don't have to back down when someone tries to control your life. Sometimes, the best way to fight back is to create something so big, so amazing, that they can't help but step aside. That barbecue. It wasn't just about cooking meat. It was about freedom, about making sure I could live the life I wanted, without fear of anyone taking that away from me. And if you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of defiance, creativity, and standing up for yourself. I've got plenty of stories where the underdog wins, and I can't wait to share them with you. Thanks for watching, and remember, create your paradise, no matter who says otherwise.